Hello, welcome to January 27th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This is something that I do every morning shortly after waking up, although I'm a little later than usual. It's 4:54 a.m. right now. I slept in about 10 minutes. I do this in order to remember my life's objectives and principles just at the start of the day, to rehearse them and remember them, to remember yesterday and where I had challenges and successes, where the happy moments were, and including where the sad moments were, or difficult moments, whatever the case may be. Mostly, though, how I dealt with all of that, or how I facilitated it. I also then recite the Good Life Creed, which is 7 objectives and 34 principles, 34 principles that are enumerated in my book, Going Alone, available on Amazon, in bookstores, and via my website, goingalone.org. And then finally, I finish by planning for the coming day, thinking about the opportunities and challenges to come, where I can squeeze some fun moments in as well, and then start my day. It's a readiness and a sending off, of sorts. First, last night and yesterday. Yesterday was my last day of work before vacation, and though it's only the last day for 2 weeks off, it feels a lot more significant than that. And that's because I think my mission for this vacation is to go overseas to Japan to scope out a new community and home for my wife and I. Somewhere to live and to retire. So it feels like I'll come back. It just feel that way. I know that I'll come back a better informed person regarding the next stage of life. To that end, I should keep a careful journal, shouldn't I? Maybe I'll get a book for that. That's a good idea, actually. A journal of adventures. Well, not any adventures, the big ones. Okay, other than that, just a good solid day of work. Squeezed another good day out yesterday. I work so hard. I really am pretty good at working hard and deliberate. Working from home, no one has to look after me. I am enough of a minder of my own. All right, now let's get on with the good life. My 7 objectives are... Oh, wait, hold on, I do want to talk about something. I did encounter some challenges yesterday. So, I stink. How do I say this? I had run out of deodorant the day before, or the day before, and I had, but as a result, I got a little ripe. Not bad, but we had to go. Yumiko and I had to go to. I usually take a shower after my run on the beach, and I my dip in the ocean. And yesterday we had to go pick up my motorcycle from Corona, and because time was limited after my run, and it's a warm day yesterday. And after my good warm run yesterday, we just hopped right in the car, and I had run out of deodorant, and I didn't smell very good because I just finished working out, and Miko was in the car, and she commented on it. Now, I was embarrassed, and what was the word, humiliation? I felt bad because I know what that's like to suffer that, to be on the receiving end of that. I didn't want my wife to go through that. We had a long ride together ahead of us, and et cetera, et cetera. I offered to go back and clean up. I should have taken a shower before we left. I offered to go back and do that, and she said, no, it's okay, we'll carry on. So we carried on. Anyway, I did a pretty good job, I think, of reconciling the facts. One, which is that I had made a mistake, bullseye aim, right? Life will not go well. A stinky mistake. My wife had said it clear, and then I had offered to fix it, but it would have cost us a lot of time, and she had decided to not do that, to just bear with it. So I kept the window rolled down. And I thought to myself, and I could have then engaged on the next hour, 40 minutes, or was it more than an hour actually, of driving because of traffic, feeling really bad. But I thought to myself, my wife's an adult, reasonable woman, very reasonable. I'll keep the window cracked down and do the best I can to clam up my body and accept her decision. And I did, because otherwise it could have soiled the whole trip, right? And then there was one series of things after that where I was managing the emotions and the mental reaction within that was wanting to chastise myself and feeling, flog myself mentally over this error. But I didn't, because I, in essence, respect my wife's wishes, and we both recognize that this was just a mistake, etc. And I respect her wishes, and I didn't. It's not that I didn't care, but I just chose to not ruin the evening by virtue of that fact, and to, as soon as I got home, take a good shower and clean up. So I did, and all of that. There was more to it than that. It was an ongoing thing where the specter of self-flagellation, that's an interesting way to say it, rose continually in my mind through the evening, and I beat it down. Didn't even need to beat it down. I just need to reason it down, right? And as a result, we had a good evening together. Stinky, but good evening. And I got my bike, and she didn't have to suffer driving with me on the way home because we caravan back, me on the bike and she on the car. Hopefully she couldn't smell me then. And I got more deodorant, and I'll make sure to now that I'm running, because I never was a runner before. I was always either just a walker and a swimmer. And walking didn't really generate the internal heat and the blood pushing. I didn't sweat, but now I am. So I make sure when I get home, clean up real good, Kurt, when you get home, and make sure you keep deodorant on hand. Okay, let's get on with it. The good life. My 7 objectives are as follows. Number 1 is to be always ready to die, to have my life affairs in order, my relationships in order, and my life's work done, if not complete. And all of those things are in that shape. 2, to make a good and effective use of my time, to be ready for that death, should it come, by having a life of days behind me, a trail of days behind me, well utilized towards the pursuits of virtue, where virtue is defined as the seeking after the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life objectives and principles, which is this good life creed, these 7 objectives and 34 principles that I'm discussing right now. 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become someone who reacts well to challenging circumstances. Witness yesterday, my story that I just told. I reacted well to that. Even though my emotions wanted to take me one direction, I used my reason and my better faculties of judgment to override that and say, yeah, there's another way. My wife has acquiesced to suffer this for a while. She's made a reasoned decision to do that. There's no reason that I should soil the whole evening for both of us just because I feel guilty. Next is to perform good actions, just to do good things throughout the day. Next is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities so that I'm not reaching for things beyond my grasp. And then lastly, to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, so that I'm measured and never multitasking in my actions. Okay, so those are my objectives. Before I go on to the principles, let me add, good morning, Parker. I forgot about that. All right, my 34 principles then are, number 1, the principle of war, to always be fighting against propositions of truth and things that I already believe are true. 2, the principle of reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt, and humiliation, which is the way and frame of mind that I use to be a reasonable human being, being honest with myself and others, objective in my view, looking at things from many sides, a fierce skeptic, and welcoming of any humiliation and discovering that I'm wrong. In that case, humiliation is a good thing. Next is the homunculus. I don't think I have a soul, or that any of us do, but I do have a consciousness, and that resides with me now, and I label that consciousness the homunculus. Oh, I like poetic terms. Another poetic term is for the next principle, number 5, which is or number 4, it's the anchor hold. It's the home of the homunculus, this mortal coil that is made of bits and pieces that will soon fall to pieces. And it's good to remember that I won't survive my death, that what I am will be wiped out forever. Next is the home of good and evil. Concepts of right and wrong and good and evil don't reside within the universe at large. They are mere opinions that we hold and use along the way of life. Next is purpose. There are 3 purpose in my life. My first purpose is to be a good husband and father. My second purpose is to be a virtuous man. And my third purpose is to pursue whatever personal endeavor or purpose that I align and decide for myself, which for me is the sharing of the Good Life Creed via the story of going alone. Next is the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, flowing and changing and forever transforming. And then the principle of nature. Everything and everyone has some particular nature, and it's good to recognize what that is. And then the pirate ride. Free will is an illusion. A very convincing one, but I don't think it's real. I think we are compatible with the universe at large and all of the jostlings that occur. And then maturity, which has the sub-principles of wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. We are mature when we wisely remember our past successes and failures, have the fortitude to do better, and then can enjoy the integrity of a life in balance with our values. Then comes the social principle. We are social creatures, we need each other, and our best ends are always social ends, things that help to improve the well-being, the virtue spread among all of us. The sub-principles here are diplomacy, working together, justice, an idea of what values we will pursue. And I wanted to say the American way. No, it sounds that way. It sounds like what Superman would say. It's not. Diplomacy, justice, and conspiracy, working together towards those better ends. After the social principle comes the principle of family, the idea that we should build a family together. It could be a traditional style family or whatever family we want to make. It's just the human connections that we make. Very valuable to have the connections in our life. Then the principle called public speaking, a recommendation towards good communication, quality listening skills, and the ability to say and write with accuracy and eloquence what we mean, filtered through our values and flavored with our emotions. There are several sub-principles there that just that help to guide us towards the aforementioned sentence that I just made, which actually came out pretty good, I think. These are big words, or not big words, best words. Have not big words at all, best words, darn it. Too bad those sound alike. They're very different meaning. Best words having a good and rich, deep vocabulary to select from to pick the right words for the circumstance. Not necessarily for speaking, because we don't want to use flowery and ostentatious words that people don't understand, but for reading so that we can comprehend good literature. Prudence, the ability to filter, like I said, through our emotion, through our values. Felicity, filtering through our emotions. Eloquence comes of practice and modeling, and then to always avoid spreading rumors and engaging in gossip. Next comes temperance, the ability to control our consumption of everything, so that we are in control of what we do and consume. After temperance comes life will not go well. Life's going to be challenging. It's going to have rough patches. Expect it, like me and the stinky self yesterday. A minor one, but a tricky one nonetheless. The horror show. Life is going to go really bad at times. I noticed last night on Instagram that Randy, I think it's Gonzalez, the Inky boy, has died. His son Bryce posted on Instagram, his dad died of cancer, prostate cancer, pretty young, 30s, mid-30s, I'd say. If ever there's a case where it seems, at least from appearances, that a tragedy, this is one young father with a wife and 2 daughters and a son, all school-age kids, nobody takes him, gone like that, destroyed by cancer. He certainly did leave a good legacy in terms of peace and joy. It's a horror show. The family's gone through the horror. The diagnosis was in April of 2022, and he just died here in January 23. My heart goes out to the Gonzalez family. I think that's their name, Gonzalez. Anyway, the Yankee boy. Anyway, so life is a horror show. It's coming for us all. The next principle is called that which must be borne, carried, B-O-R-N-E. And what we have to carry is the fact that life will not go well and the horror show. It's our responsibility to bear these things, especially once we become adults. Doesn't mean we can't help one another and shift the weight, but we have to carry it nonetheless. Next comes the Feast of Offal. Offal is the waste and byproduct of the butcher's art. The skin, the bones, the toes, the eyeballs that the butcher can grind up and make into sausage. It's the waste and byproduct. There's a waste and byproduct of our intemperate living and our poor execution of unreasoned living, maybe unprincipled living, which is that we rail at the world and get upset at times and hurt others around us. That's the Feast of Offal, when we're spreading the feast about, spewing our waste and upset about. Conversely, we can consume the feast that others give out, and in that case, spoil and poison ourselves in the process. I try to avoid both of those. Next comes a distraction. We distract ourselves throughout our lives with all the things that keep us busy. Our jobs, our pursuit of education, our hobbies, everything. I'm halting for a second because I'm thinking of something that Angela was doing yesterday. Angela is my friend at the beach. She has cancer, and she comes to the beach and sits in a tent and does her work. She's very successful. And I won't go into details. I don't want to share Angela's story. But we were talking yesterday, and she's doing something that's I perceive to be a distraction from her rather grave circumstance. Now, that's all I'll say. I went too far. I shouldn't be talking about people. Especially because in this case I used Angela's real name. Sometimes when I talk about people I meet in my life, I make up names for them. I tell you accurate things about them. The details are true. But I will make up names. In this case I didn't. That's Angela's real name, and I have a feeling Angela wouldn't mind. I think she'd be all right with me saying anything, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to gossip about someone behind their back. But I will suffice it to say that I think she's distracting herself in a way that is a lot of us do, especially when we're facing down, the horror show. That leads to the next principle, which is the great indifference, the emptiness that pervades the universe, a universe without God. That's what we are often distracting ourselves from, because it leaves us holding the mantle of responsibility, carrying the mantle of responsibility for our own lives, which is a weighty thing to do. So a lot of people don't want to do that. Next is distraction. No, I already did that one. The best seat in the house. To try and strive to be all right with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing at all times. Then comes the restless man or woman. A state and feeling that we have early in life where we wish for something else, wish for an adventure of some sort, something to call our own. Watch out. If you don't indulge in that, if you don't do something about it at a young age, it lingers, it tends to linger and fester even, and stay with us all of our lives. Yet if you do something about it, then you turn that into a great life adventure. Then you've got a boon to enjoy for the rest of your life. It's a worthwhile investment, even though it carries some risk. If we choose to heed that restlessness, then we step upon what I call the path of wildness, which is the segue from one life into another. My wife and I are currently on the path right now towards our new life in Japan. The yield of all of that effort is a great life adventure, which is one or more experiences that become part and parcel of our story and our identity and who we are and what we carry ourselves forward to as throughout the rest of our lives. And you can have one big one, or a whole bunch of little ones, or a whole series of big ones, whatever you want to do. The trick is having the strength to step upon the path of wildness and make it real. It's not easy. That's what going alone is. That's the element of my story. That's the focus of my story. It's the recounting of my own journey of going alone and stepping upon the path of wildness to yield my own great life adventure and the resulting good life creed. Next comes a principle called the risk of avoiding risk. So what happens if you don't step upon the wildness when you feel that restlessness and you don't give yourself a great life adventure? Well, then you're going to carry a weighty want for the rest of your life, perhaps, that will grow and fester and haunt you, kind of like the tumor in my side that grows, a little thing down here that I'm going to get removed. Conversely, if you do too much of the adventure and you sacrifice in the course of doing so family and home and security and a career and family of all things, then there's a risk there too. There's some, that's very important. It's very important to have children. As I get older, I'm realizing it may be even more important than a great life adventure. Wow, look at that. I think the pendulum just shifted right there. Holy Moses. I feel the earth just shuddered and swept over under my feet. What is today? The 27th of January, 2023. I think my worldview just changed. Up and one thing at a time. Up until now, I would have probably always thought, if I'm going to weigh of the balance, which is the better one to do, have the adventure or create a family? Have the adventure, or if you could only do one, right? The best thing is if you can balance both. But if you could only have one, up until today, I probably would have said the adventure. I think from this day forward, I'll say the family. Because the family has, well, why? I don't think I'm prepared to answer that question just yet, but I have a feeling that's the case. I'll take a quick stab at the reason. Because family answers an innate biological mandate and need for connection and procreation and getting our genes into the next generation, which is the underlying necessity of life. Having an adventure on top of that is a nice thing, but being a father and a mother, or a mother, is perhaps more important. And so all that goes along with that, right? The education, the career, the home, the family, etc. All that goes with it. Yeah, wow, that's a major shift in my worldview. It doesn't change or erase anything in going alone. It just lays greater emphasis on that one principle, the risk of avoiding risk. It's heavy. I'm picturing a balance, just teeter-totter just went the other way. I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna need to think long and hard on this. Good thing I've got a beach to walk and run on. And I'm gonna go there today because I got the day off. I'll go, and it's kind of a little bit warm. As long as the wind isn't blowing too hard, I'll go sit on the beach with my book. Next is the principle called sin and damnation. There are 8 sins in my worldview that result in damnation in the here and now. These are falsity, being untrue; credulity, believing things too readily without good reason; faith, belief founded on belief, which is nonsense; superstition, more nonsense; dogma, belief founded upon tradition or doctrine or a great canonical text; 6, authority, belief based on being impressed by someone's appearance, speech, or charisma; rumors, spreading rumors, that's bad; and engaging in gossip. Any of those things, and we end up damned in the here and now. Complete oblivion, that's next. After death, since I don't have a soul and there is no God and no heaven or hell or anything to follow, that means that I'll never reunite with my loved ones. I'll never see my dad again. I'll never have a chance to say sorry for I'll never have a chance to reconcile with him. I'll never say sorry for my flippant adolescent, even though I was in my 20s, comments about life that I said to him a couple weeks before he died. Nothing mean, but the typical young adult insensitivity, which I'm sure he just brushed off because he knew better. Yet I would like to say I'm sorry. I wish I'd been a little more sensitive back then. I think the right word, although it sounds like the wrong word, I think the right word is cocksure. What a funny word. Best words, eh? Funniest words, eh? Oh, and there'll be no final justice after death because there's no God or heaven or hell. So we got to attend to those things now. That's what the complete oblivion principle is all about. Okay, next, and we're closing in on the end. The season of philosophy, a reminder to keep a pen and paper or pencil or whatever you want to do, or a camera or an art easel, or as I said, a camera in Andy's case, my photography friend, handy to record whatever words or inspiration come our way. Oh yeah. Next comes script writing. A trick that I use to forecast the immediate future, even the longer term future, by writing out in my head like a story how it's going to go. I do it all the time now. It's very addictive actually, and it's quite effective. Holy crap, it's the most powerful tool I've ever encountered. For just kind of like, I was in the shower just now. I take showers in the morning and the evening. I'm a double shower kind of guy. Once in the morning because that's how I grew up, and once in the evening because I work out, because that's how I lived in Japan. So and because I work out in the evening, like I said before, trying to avoid my stinky self. That's why it was a conspiracy of circumstances that got me to become that stinky guy yesterday. Anyway, I'm off track. I was in the shower just now, script writing this, how I'm going to come down, settle down, start the camera, and in clear, measured tones, get through the whole thing. And I think I've done a pretty good job. So, and that's because I forecast it. And so far, every day this year, I've gotten a little asterisk at the end of the title for the Good Life meditation video, because I did it in clear and measured tones and carefully, not the lightning round. Anyway, script writing works. And also, I've already scripted out the day. And I'll do it again in just a minute. But when I'm script writing, it's more than just laying out like a laundry list. I'm visualizing myself going through the day. It's really fascinating. I do that now at work. I visualize just ahead of the meeting, sit there before I hit the join button, how that meeting is going to go, how the personalities are going to play out, whatever obstacles I'll encounter. And I'm more ready than ever. That said, the next principle is called the bullseye aim. The idea that I can shoot for the mark of a particular target, but I should expect to miss and just be delighted if I make it once in a while. But usually I'm going to miss by some degree. But it's good that I'm at least aiming in the right direction. The next principle is called the uphill climb. Life is an uphill climb. Not towards anywhere. There is no summit. There's only death along the way. But I want to be as high up the mountain with the most comprehensive vista and view of life and the universe at large as I can achieve. So I don't let days go by. I capitalize on them. I read my books. I walk. I exercise. I engage in conversation. I look people in the eye. When I'm in meetings at work, I keep the damn camera on. People can see me. I don't yield to letting life just slip past me. This is all in allegiance to my first objective, which is to always be ready to die, and my second objective, which is to make good and effective use of my time. That's why I have this damn tumor that the doctor seems a little bit worried about all of a sudden. And I'm not bragging, but I'm kind of surprised. It's like I'm taking it in my stride. If it turns out I'm going to die from this thing, which I don't think I am, maybe that's why I can feign this ease. But I'll confess I'm a little bit scared. But at the same time, I mean, it's one thing to be scared. It's another thing to be scared and realizing that that your bags aren't packed. I am a little bit scared, but I know that my bags are packed. Everything's in order. I can die. My wife and daughter will be all right. They'd be better off with me here, but they'll be all right. And life will, close over the wound of my passing and seal up in no time at all. And it'll all be that way. And here's Ollie. He knows I'm almost done. He can tell. He knows my creed. He can tell. He gets restless when I'm almost done. So does the other dog. Because they know they get fed next. Okay, wrapping things up. Arena and utility. Life is an arena for the development of objectives and principles that we can use to live better, and I like to keep them clean and sharp and ready to go. That's what I do through this daily exercise. Nothing is enough. A deep and profound principle that I'm just beginning to uncover, and I think it's in the right place, second to last. Maybe I'll work on this one as I go back to Japan. It's a good place Asia is a good place to explore the emptiness. the power of nothing. I wouldn't think of removing that principle, though I've yet to figure out quite what to do with it. And the last principle, perhaps my favorite, is the principle of fun. A reminder to have a good time. And I'll tell you, as I work on this and I linger on this more and more, I'm getting better at it. I am getting better at having fun. One of the things that I realize is that I'm the fun guy when it comes to my relationship with my wife. That's one of my roles, is to extract out fun, and being the motherly, cautious Japanese that she is. Her job is to kind of stand back and watch with a bemused smile while her husband dashes into the sea or does some sort of nonsense or whatever the case may be, the joke or the jester, etc., and the sober and sane. And I got that realization yesterday as I was running on the beach, and I saw a young family, and the father playing nonsense with his children in the splashing water, kids getting their clothes wet, etc., while the mother stood by, arms akimbo, watching with a bemused smile on her face as her husband engaged in nonsense. The mother calling out, don't get your dress wet, not really meaning it, delighted at the fact that her family is having a fun time. I realize sometimes that's my role too. That's exactly the relationship I have with my wife as well. And I'm expected, and I expect myself to play that role. It's not that we have aligned ourselves necessarily to that, although there's some of that too. I think in some ways it's a natural consequence of the way things lay out. So if I'm the funmeister, then when we go to Japan, I'm going to be the funmeister, and it used to be that I would see my wife's somewhat uncertain look and think, oh wow, I better stop doing what I'm doing. Nah, none of that. Keep doing what you're doing, Kurt. That's my role. Funmeister. All right, let's plan out the day. Today I'm going to have a fun day. I'll finish this video, I'll upload this video, type out whatever I'm going to type. I'll feed my dogs, read my Bible, feed my dogs, let them out. I already let them out once. I have to be careful in the morning because there's a possum out there sometimes, and a raccoon and a skunk. Gotta make sure there's not any in the yard when I let them out. Anyway, we'll do that. I'll come back, I'll fire up the computer. I'm going to do a couple of things this morning. One, I'm going to get through my email. Bam, first one. Two, I'm going to align my tax information, put it in the right folder because it's tax time. I may even send out an email to my accountant and get that going. So Alice, there might be, if you see this, there's a mail message coming for you. Then I'm going to spend the day working on I'm going to fire up the computer and just illustrate going alone copies, because I've got like 6 copies to get out before, and in a short amount of time I want to mail, and I'm going to go to the post office today and mail as many as I can. And then I'm going to have a fun day. I'm going to take my book, and my books I'm reading 2 right now. I should only read 1 book at a time, Kurt, dang it. But I somehow always wind up with 1 or 2 or 3. And then I'll go to the beach, and I'm going to have a fun time at the beach, sitting on the sand if it's not too windy, doing all of that, and thinking and planning for the trip and planning for fun times. I'm going to have fun times. I'm going to have fun times today. And then when I'm done, I'll come home. I'll join the evening with my wife. We'll plan for our trip. And that'll be my day. Nice dinner. Watch a TV show with my wife and then go to bed. Thanks for joining me. Be safe but not too safe. And remember, be safe but not too safe. That's it for me. My life now is done, if not finished. Bye-bye.